So, I just finished filming my January wrap-up. If you haven't seen that, the TLDR is that January sucked. I did not have a good reading month. I did not have a good mental health month. It is still January, but we're just like trying to chop it a bit short and start over. So I'm here with a reading vlog. What's up? It's Saturday. I actually have this Saturday off. I've had to work through a couple weekends, but I'm like trying to truly take today off so that I can have a bit of a reset. I need to clean up my apartment because it's really bad right now. But I'm also going to try to do some fun things, including going and getting some dim sum, because why live in New York if you can't get dim sum? And reading a lot. So, what am I planning on reading today / this week? First, I have been reading Disfigured by Amanda Leduc. This is about Amanda's experience as a woman with a disability, but also a literary analysis of fairy tales and how they portray disability and disfigurement. And it is very good. I am about 40 pages from the end of this one, so I think finishing this one book is an easy ask for myself for this week. So hopefully, I'm hoping to sit down with this at some point today and just knock it out. I will say that, I already know this is going to be a 5 stars unless something goes terribly wrong. Yeah, I feel like I came into this book thinking that it would be really interesting, but maybe a little bit academic, maybe a little bit of a slog, and it turns out that is definitely not the case. She does do in-depth literary analysis, and it is very informative about the disabilities rights movement and things like that, but it is not at all difficult to read. It's just a really, really great book, and I highly recommend it. So that's that one. I also have these two, which I'm hoping to start this week. I really want to get to You Never Forget Your First by Alexis Coe. Brian has recommended this one, and I'm very excited about it in general. I normally don't really like biographies that much because I feel like there's a little bit too much hero worship in there. But this is supposed to be a very sort of interesting look at Washington that's not just he was a great man and this is what was in his pockets or whatever. So I am really excited to read this one. I do subscribe to Alexis Coe's newsletter, which I highly recommend you subscribe to as well. If you're just looking for some light historical analysis in your email inbox every week. I'll link it down below. And then I've been wanting to read more short story collections, so I thought I would start with Civil War Land in Bad Decline, which is an older George Saunders story collection. I have read Lincoln and the Bardo on audio because it had the full cast thing going on, and that was really good, but I didn't like it as much as my mom liked it. That was one of her favorite books, but I think that I might connect with his short stories more. And I normally don't plow through a short story collection, so I'm just gonna try to sprinkle these in throughout the week. You know me, I'm very bad at keeping to a schedule or doing the things that I say I'm gonna do. So tune in to find out if any of these things actually happen. Hello, I'm back from my afternoon adventure and feeling good. I ate my weight in dim sum. It was amazing. Oh, here's a dog. She's also interested in dim sum smells. What's up? What are we feeling? All right. Yeah, I got some dim sum. I also stopped by Dough Donuts, which a classic. I think Russell. I think I've talked about them in another vlog, but look at this monstrosity. I don't know if you can see it. It's a huge donut. I got 2 of them. Last time it didn't keep very well, so I might have to eat both of these tonight. Have to. Oh, it smells so good. I need to get the chocolate away from my dog, though, because this is going to be bad news. I did read a little bit more of Disfigured. I think I basically described this and what I love about it this morning. There's a lot of histories of the disability rights movement, which I found really interesting, but they sort of... Oh, there she goes. They sort of alternate... No. Michelle, no. Michelle, no. Good girl. Okay. Oh! Hi. Anyways, what was I talking about? Ugh, I'm so sleepy. I have a trivia thing tonight with some old friends. Oof. Oof. With some old friends. And. Oh. This is gonna be hard. And. What else? That's in like a couple hours. I need to figure out what I'm gonna make for dinner, but I'm so full right now. Maybe I'll just make a donut for dinner. Make a donut. Maybe I'll just eat a donut for dinner. I'm glad this has been an informative update. I'll talk to you guys later. Big sigh. Good morning. It's Sunday. Oh. I'm simultaneously a morning person and not a morning person because I get up at like 7 because that's when my body wakes up, but it takes me like such a long time to feel like a human. So we're in that phase right now. But I had a really good day yesterday. It was a lot of socializing, which is nice because unfortunately next week I am basically stuck at home writing a bunch of stuff, and we all know how I feel about writing. I'm a little stressed about it. I need to get started this afternoon on that. This is not what I sat down to talk about. What I wanted to talk about is my books. I haven't actually started either of these, so red herring here, I guess. But I am marching through Disfigured. I only have like 20 pages left of this. The chapters aren't really as disjointed as like a true essay collection, but they are sort of like bite-sized, I guess. So you can sort of like read them one chapter at a time and really enjoy it that way. I just think that like this has gone so far beyond my expectations. As I think I said yesterday, like I expected it to be pretty academic, but she not only talks about like, you know, the analysis of disability visibility in fairy tales and culture, she talks about how it feels as a disabled person to actually like live in a society where you're being forced to confront these sorts of portrayals all the time. Yeah, so I just highly recommend this one. And I am moving through it slowly because I'm enjoying it so much. Other thing is I have quite a bit of like housework to do and laundry, which I did not do yesterday. So I need to pick out an audiobook for myself for this week. I definitely don't have a lot of lab work to do, so it's going to be rather slow going on the audiobooks this week, but I've been very much in a podcast mood recently, and I sort of want to like try getting back into the audiobooks in general. So I'm going to sit here and pick one of those out. I have to say that the 3-book hold list on Overdrive is really killing me. It was 8 books before the pandemic, but they like cut it down because people were using audiobooks and ebooks so much. So I'm dying. I mean, like if I put a new release on there, it's like, oh, you're not going to get this for 20 weeks. And then I just have a slot on my holds list filled up for 20 weeks. There's no good way to get books. There's no turnover. Anyways, I could read the 3rd book in the Witches of Lichford series, which I've been really enjoying. I just saw a very negative review on the Witches of Lichford on Instagram, and I was like, oh no, I hope I didn't recommend this book to this person and they hated it. Ugh. It is like, I don't know, sort of sketchy. It's a novella, so like there's not a huge amount of time for like to like flesh out the plot or flesh out the characterization, but I sort of like those broad strokes. I like being able to like fill it in myself a little bit. Like I feel like if the outline is good, it's a fine way to write a story. I don't know. Anyways, I think that might just be a personal preference thing. I could do another Agatha Christie. That might be good. My coffee's cold. Ooh. I might do this one. You guys might remember I read Brain on Fire in November for Nonfiction November. I had some issues with that one, just in the way that the author portrayed, like, the psychiatric ward as, like, the worst evil that could happen to her or something like that. But she actually did write, she's a journalist, and she did write a second book called The Great Pretender, which is about, there's sort of a famous study where these psychologists basically tried to get themselves admitted into a mental institution by saying, like, oh, I hear these voices or whatever, and then they got admitted, and then they were supposed to act completely normal after they're admitted, and just sort of like see if these literal medical professionals could tell in between somebody with a psychiatric disorder and somebody without one. She sort of like does a deep dive into this study and the story and finds that there was, I think, considering how much I've been thinking about like neurology and psychiatry recently, I feel like this could be a really interesting one. Like, I normally don't read journalism long form in audio form, but I feel like from her writing style, from her memoir, I'm assuming that this is gonna like keep my interest in audio form, and like, you know, I'm gonna be able to like follow the thread. But I'm gonna borrow this, and yeah, hopefully it's a good book. I'm excited, I think. Hello. It's like 2:30 and I haven't really started my day yet. So I did at least like write out what I was gonna do today, because that's not hard, but I need to actually do some of these things. So basically right now I'm starting 2 hours of like Pomodoro time or whatever. I'm hoping to get 4 or 5 things checked off my to-do list, and then I am going to do my laundry and clean the kitchen and listen to my audiobook while I'm doing that. I always have this like failure to jumpstart on Sundays, and like sometimes I want to be like, okay, maybe I should just take the full weekend off and like just do all this stuff during the week. But number one, a lot of this stuff that I have to do isn't really for work, so it's not like I should be doing it during work time. And then number two, like, I feel like if I totally took Sunday off, this would just become Monday, and then I would be like spinning my wheels on Monday, feeling guilty and getting nothing done. So, you know, I did my 2 hours. I only got 3 things done, but I did make a lot of progress on some other points that aren't easy asks, I guess. So I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah. Unfortunately, I also had to add 3 or 4 things to my to-do list, so it never ends. That's the moral of this story. But now, it's basically been all weekend, and I haven't really started reading yet, so now I'm gonna go do some of my housework and start my audiobook, The Great Pretender. So yeah, I'm really excited about that one, and I'll check in later. I'm trying to actually make something for dinner, wow wow wow, not just vinaigrette, sorry. This one. Winter roasted radicchio. Except I went into my fridge and my Roquefort was not good anymore, so this is not going to be as good as with the cheese. But we're working on it. Also, I have been listening to The Great Pretender. Great Pretenders? Whatever, doesn't matter. And this is the book. This is the book I've been looking for. I'm so excited. I feel like, it's good to know also, okay, sorry, context is I read Brain on Fire in November for Nonfiction November, and I liked it. Memoir is not my favorite, but it was like interesting, but then it left me with a whole bunch of questions, because she was like throughout the whole book, she was like, oh my god, like they were about to send me to the psych ward, dun dun dun, and it was like, okay, like you're presenting with psychiatric symptoms, and they did find like an underlying neurological cause at some point, but why my big question was like, why are psych and neurology so separated? And I thought that in that book she didn't do a great job of like really picking apart some of the sort of like broader societal things that came up in her own story, which is fine. It was a memoir, whatever. I didn't really have like super high expectations. But then this is like book that she published, I think like a year or two ago, um, about psychiatry basically. And the first chapter is literally asking all of the questions that I've been asking about this. Like, okay, like neurology is if you can find a physical, if you can find like a physical basis for the like problem, but like we're all just big sacks of goo, so everything has a biological basis. Whether or not you understand that biological basis is just like another question. So I was like, why is there such a distinction here? And like I think this book is gonna get at it. I think it is. It feels good when you finally get into a good book, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna not let my brown butter vinaigrette burn, and I will talk to y'all later. It's snowing outside. Oh, there's not a lot. It's not so bad. I just had my family call and I need to take my dog OUT. It's been so cold. I haven't been walking her enough. And I'm not feeling it right now, but we're gonna go do a little something because she deserves it, you know. Is this dog in here? Oh, I've just become a slug. What's up? It's Monday. I need to start working soon. I'm so enjoying The Great Pretender. It's a revelation, friends. I mean, I feel like I probably would not feel this strongly about it if I were not. I was like literally saying for the last 2 months, like, I want a book that talks about this. I want a book that talks about this. And the fact that it's written by the same author who wrote the first book that got me like thinking about this stuff is like, I don't know, just very cool. And like I feel like I knew that she'd written this book, but like given her first book, I didn't trust that she was gonna do a good job of it or like ask the right questions, I guess. But honestly, I feel like she's grown so much as a writer since her first book. Like, I don't know what the gap in between the two was. This one is like so hitting the nail on the head. I'm so enjoying it. It's really good. I got very excited in the beginning, right? Because I was like, oh my god, this is it. This is the one. But I think that it's held up so far. Also, it's not just like, oh, and then we're going back to like doing the facts that all the stories everybody talks about and stuff. Like, she talks about Nellie Bly, which I've heard about Nellie Bly. Like, I feel like everybody talking about psychiatry talks about Nellie Bly, but she's also talking about how like in the 60s everything became pathologized, and then people were like, well, maybe if you're normal then you're weird, and like there was like this big lashback where it was like, does psychiatric illness even exist? And stuff like that. And it's just very interesting. So I'm enjoying it a lot. It is written like very narratively. Like you can sort of tell where she's trying to build her story to in like sort of a more novel-esque, mystery-esque arch, I guess. But it's very good. And I'm just excited to be excited by a book right now also. That's a fun feeling. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Work time. I have a fellowship application due today, so that is what I'm going to do for most of the morning. But then I really need to focus on starting to write this review article that I said I would write. So, writing. I've already spent way too much time on this fellowship application, and I've just been like going back and forth on like not important things and like not finishing the stuff that I need to finish. So I'm giving myself 2 hours and then I'm submitting it. We'll see what it looks like then. Again, thank you guys for being my accountability buddies. I realize that none of you signed up for this, but it's where we are right now. Alright, I'll talk to you later. It is so freaking cold in my apartment. But the good news is I submitted my fellowship application. Bad news is I've done very little else. I have like one thing that I have to do today. It's 9 p.m. If I focus, I think I can do this thing in like an hour. Let's try to do it in half an hour, and then I can be done for the day, and that'll be fine. I've not at all gotten to this review article, so that's tomorrow morning, I guess. I have to cut out some of these clips because this is going to be way too much. Okay, bye! I'm doing my thing, but I also poured myself a gin martini. If you're unfamiliar, a gin martini is literally gin that's been watered down a little bit with ice. So that's where we are on this Monday. You ready? You wanna go out? Good morning. Happy Tuesday. So I did not end up finishing my thing last night, but here we are. Morning again, fresh start. So I'm gonna write that thing. I'm gonna write the other thing. We're doing great. No problems. Yeah, I've listened to a little bit more of my audiobook, but I will check in on that later, I think. Okay. Wish me luck. Okay, guys. I'm here. I'm still so excited about this book. I'm approaching halfway through, and it is continuing to be really good. I think I might have accidentally spoiled, like, a big reveal in my introduction to the book because, I mean, it was definitely, like, it was in the conversation I heard about it. Like, I heard some promotional, like, podcast or something, and they talked about that plot point, you might say, but I'll take that bit out of my intro to this book just in case you want it to be a reveal, I guess. Anyways, but yeah, so I'm about halfway through and we're still sort of going through the history of psychiatry, and sort of like initially outlining this big experiment where this psychologist basically pretended to have auditory hallucinations and got committed to a mental institution. There's a lot of discussion of like how bad psychiatry was in the 1970s, like with homosexuality being defined as a psychiatric condition. There are also like other conditions back then called like, what was it? A self-defeating personality disorder, which is just like, okay, cool. So yeah, basically, I'm in a part right now where they're talking about how they, changed the DSM to remove homosexuality in general, which was obviously a big win for LGBTQ rights. I'm going to be really interested to see sort of like, as we progress from the 1970s to now, if the understanding of psychiatry has gotten better, if like diagnosis has become more rigorous and stuff like that. And also just like, I don't know. Sorry, I'm having so many thoughts about this book, so I think I need to like lay it out when I'm done maybe. I do sort of wish I were reading this in physical form so I could like annotate it. And, I just like remember what I'm reading with my eyes much better than what I hear in general. So that's a little disappointing. But then honestly, like if I were not listening to this, would I ever have actually picked it up? Probably not. Okay, I'll talk to you later. You don't want to sit in your bed? What is this dog doing? Someone's being incredibly clingy today. Hello. I feel like this whole vlog is just gonna be me going back and forth in between my office and my couch because that's all I've been doing over the last couple days. But I'm gonna order some takeout. The second half of the snowstorm did not appear today, so I don't feel too bad. I'm just having a craving for like a big, juicy burger with like a tall, cold IPA. But really, I just want to go sit in a bar. Oh, I am so excited to like go get a burger when this is over. That's like what's keeping me going right now. Anyways, so I haven't really decided what I'm gonna eat. It'll be a surprise for you and me. I've made good progress today, but I do have like a casual job talky type thing tomorrow, so I need to prepare some slides for that. I feel like applying to shit is literally a full-time job. Like I don't know how people just casually look for work while they're working because I'm not juggling this very well. But anyways, this has been a very reading vlog, so sorry. Okay, I'll talk to you later. In case you were curious, Michelle just had a gigantic accident from eating all that snow. There's like very little understanding of cause and effect in that dog. I ended up getting banh mi. Sort of like a burger. Sort of wish I'd gotten some sides. I got a fancy drink. And I'm watching Cobra Kai. It's not a good show, but it is what I'm watching. We're sad, but this is what happens when we have accidents. I just got done doing my casual job chat thing that turned out to be less casual than I thought it was gonna be. Ah. Anyways, I just feel like I need to like come down from this a little bit. Maybe I'm gonna go take a walk, and I have to go to lab and do some stuff. It just doesn't stop. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Hello. I have not yet put my couch back together, so this is fine. We're doing great this week. So I did just go on a really nice long walk with Michelle and a friend, and I picked up a pastry because afternoon sugar is very nice. I think I'm gonna take like a 20 minutes to chill right now because I'm feeling very high stress. My mind is like sort of going at it, but then I'm gonna go into work. But I did want to finally check in about my book. I'm about 2/3 of the way through The Great Pretenders. The Great Pretender. Do I know the title of this thing? No, apparently not. And it is still really good. I think my initial euphoria about it has worn off a little bit, but I am really enjoying it. It's like sort of walking this line of like talking about like the problems with psychiatry, but then acknowledging that there are like people and communities that really do like, you know, benefit from psychiatric intervention. And like, I think she's doing a very good job of portraying what a complex issue it is. I don't think I like this book as much as I liked The Collected Schizophrenias, if we're talking about like books on this topic on psychiatric illnesses, just because, you know, The Collected Schizophrenias is an essay collection, so it has a lot of oh my gosh, we're just sitting on an empty couch bed. I'm sitting on a cushion. She's unhappy with that. Anyways, like Esme Wang has a whole essay about involuntary commitment and like how traumatizing that is. And I thought that was really eye-opening and effective in being like, okay, sure, maybe there needs to be a system for this, but this one is really broken and like traumatic. But all this to say, I am still really enjoying it. I am still going through it slowly because I haven't been doing a lot of lab work this week, but I'm about to go change that because I'm taking a 20-minute break and then I'm going into lab. It'll be great. I'm like increasingly excited about this job opportunity. So I need to do some more reading on that tonight also and send a follow-up email. So stressful but so exciting. Anyways, okay, I will talk to you guys later. King of her own castle. Yeah, I'm talking about you, huh? Who's a cutie? We're really just having a mood here, huh? What's going on? Dumplings for dinner. I made these a couple weeks ago, and they're actually really good. Not as good as takeout, but, you know, good thing to have in the freezer. That's all. That's all I had to say. Oh yeah, I'm also watching MASH, my old-timey TV show choice. I feel like I could write a whole piece on how MASH is the perfect quarantine TV show. We've had another accident. Why do you eat snow? I no longer have a couch. I don't know, should I shampoo these? I don't know what to do. Michelle don't care. She's like, yeah, I'll yuck up all your stuff. No problem. Hi, weirdo. Good morning. What a weirdo. Takeout again. I feel sort of bad. Hopefully this will be 2 meals. Oh, it's not even the money or like the health thing. It's just, this is so much plastic. But I'll get better at cooking soon. Someday. I don't know. Hello. It's Thursday night. I don't know how that happened. But I just finished The Great Pretender, and I'm trying to decide if I should give it 4 or 5 stars. I really, really, really enjoyed it, but there were some small things where it's like, oh, I wish we did more on this and less on that. Light spoilers ahead, so I'll put some timestamps if you want to skip those. I don't really believe in spoilers in nonfiction, but like if you really don't want to know anything about the plot or whatever, this book was written very much like a mystery where she's like finding stuff out over the course of it. So yeah, if you want to keep that element, skip this part. So as I've said before, this is a book that's sort of about the history of psychiatry in the US, but also about this one study done by a psychologist named Rosenhan, where he infiltrated psychiatric wards and like showed that like psychiatrists can't tell if you're lying or not about being mentally ill, basically. And it turns out that the study was almost entirely falsified, even though this is still cited all the time in like psychology textbooks and classes and just like in the media and everything. And so I thought it was a really interesting sort of dissection of like how we got to that point and where we've gone from there. She makes the point that there are some like really serious repercussions to this experiment that might have been inevitable, but this like falsified experiment definitely accelerated it. Like sort of completely destroyed people's trust in psychiatrists and gave the federal government the excuse to basically remove all funding from psychiatric institutions, and now psychiatric care is like for the most part done through the prison system, which is just like totally messed up. Not a good way to do things at all. So there's some stuff like that, but then I do sort of wish she'd gone a little bit more in detail in terms of the implications. Like she talks about where psychiatry has gone since then, but I think that could have been a bigger portion of the study in general. And I feel like she does a good job of showing you that like, yeah, this study was like totally fraudulent basically, but then you sort of, at least I had a hard time in the end putting together a picture of like what the state of things actually were in psychiatric care units in the 1970s. This sort of fraudulent scientist makes me really angry, obviously, for obvious reasons, but like one of the reasons is that like it sort of seemed like he could have done a really nuanced, interesting study about the shortcomings of psychiatric hospitals without just being like very black and white. They are 100% bad because I falsified all this data that shows us 100% bad. Like there were some parts of his experience that like led into that, and like, you know, there were elements there that he could have actually done real science on. It just seemed like this guy was totally lazy and like you know, just a huge liar. And then there's this other thing. I asked myself about this a lot in nonfiction, because, you know, we sort of think of nonfiction as like the truth, because it is fact-based in general, but I think that thinking about the way the story is put together can be really an interesting way to look at the narrative that the author is putting forward, because, you know, like, that arc is almost entirely the creation of the writer, not necessarily the events. Which is why nonfiction is a lot more interesting to read than, like, the TikTok of an event or something like that. So I do think that in this book, she decided to end on some interviews with some of his friends who acknowledged that he probably did falsify a lot of this study, but were very apologist about it. Like, they were sort of like, oh, like, if you knew him, he was a trickster or whatever. And it's like, you can't put this huge thing down to him, like, doing a practical joke. Like, that's, like, hugely morally objectionable to me. Like, this study had huge ramifications in terms of, like, policy and stuff like that. You can't just be like, oh, well, he was just sort of a funny guy. Anyways, she makes it clear in her own narrative that she never sort of forgives him for his lies, I guess. But she does put, sort of at the end, people who do. And, like, I feel like it's always interesting who gets the last word. Anyways, so those are my feelings. I forgot to mention, if you want to learn about psychiatric care and, like, going through that system, this is not the place to start, actually. Like, I do sort of wish there was a little bit more focus on the people in the system, not, like, the drama around this study. And I realize that's just a different book, so I can't fault the book for not being a different book. But I do, like, plan to do more reading that's like own voices from people with mental illnesses who've had to deal with the system, you know, throughout their lifetimes, which is a very different experience, I'm sure, and I think will be a lot more insightful about, like, the real shortcomings of the system, but then also, like, the ways that it works. I don't know. That's how I felt. Thursday. That's all. I'm trying to watch Noelle's live, but my internet keeps going out, so I guess I'm gonna finish my goddamn book that I'm very excited to read. I don't know why I just, like, put this down indefinitely for, like, the last 5 days. I literally have 15 pages left. Okay, cool. I'm gonna do that. Hello! It's Friday. I'm off of work. / I was sort of forcefully offed of work because my computer freaked out and won't connect to the internet. So it's the weekend! So, I finished Disfigured last night. It was a very good read. Yes, it will be a 5 stars. I think I've already said that in this vlog. I will say that part of the reason it took me a while to finish this is, like, the last 30 or 40 pages were not the best part of this book. They weren't, like, actively bad or anything. It was just, like, the last section was a more generalized, like, imagine what the world could be like manifesto, which I think is important to hit the points home, but then also was not as informative or interesting as the other parts of the book. But overall, as a whole package, intensely very good. I highly recommend this. I would say it's, like, almost half memoir, really. It's like half memoir, half literary analysis, which would normally be too much memoir for me. But I think I just really appreciate this form where it's, like, you know, taking personal experiences but then contextualizing them and talking about the culture that you grew up in and bigger societal forces, I guess. So I really liked this book. I guess that means that I've read 2 books this week, both of which are 4 or 5 stars. I still haven't quite decided for The Great Pretender. I put it as a 5 on Goodreads, but then the instant that I did that, I was like, oh, but does it really hold up to my, like, 5 super standard? So anyways, either way, I did 2 really great nonfiction reads this week. It does feel good to be back in nonfiction. Like, I think sometimes when I want to escape or, like, having a hard time engaging with real life, I don't read nonfiction, but I really just feel much better when I'm working on at least one. My dog's freaking out. That's okay. Why don't you just... Good girl. I would just sign off here, but then I want to take you guys to a bookstore tomorrow because I need to go pick up Authority, which I want to buddy read with Mo soon. Considering that my internet is out, I might read some more stuff this evening. I was gonna play Don't Starve Together, but that seems unlikely now. Let me know if you play Don't Starve or Don't Starve Together, because I would love to have a game, you guys. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Seems comfortable. Happy Saturday! I should have wrapped this up last night because it's already been such a long vlog. I'm gonna have to edit a ton, but I was planning on stopping by the bookstore today and I just wanted to film that because books, you know? And I did that. And I need to film fast because I got bubble tea and a burrito for lunch. I'm hungry and I would like to get to that. So let's talk about the books real fast and I'll sign off. Oh, the other book. Okay, sorry, I forgot something. First off, I wanted to mention that I also got another book this week that I haven't talked about. I found this in our laundry room. There's sort of like a free bin there. Yeah, I hardly ever take stuff from it because it's not really labeled. So I'm always worried that I'm accidentally stealing something that somebody wants, but I wanted this. So this is Dark Money, The Hidden History of the Billionaires Behind the Rise of the Radical Right. I had heard of this before. I think it won, the New York Public Library has a award for best like investigative journalism book of the year. And I think this one won, or it was on the short list and I saw it there. Oh, it smells sort of mildewy. Oh, that's not nice. And then new books. I'm sort of like trying to get more into sci-fi. I feel like I'm sci-fi curious. So I got three sci-fis, one nonfiction, because who am I? First two, Authority and Acceptance. I read Annihilation last year. It was really good. It's like very weird speculative sci-fi, and I think that is like a subgenre that I'm going to be getting really into because I loved that book a lot. So Authority is the next one. I honestly have no idea where this series is going to go from where Annihilation ended, but I'm very excited to get into it. And also, like, I normally don't buy books for their covers, but these covers are just so wonderful. And like the ebook wasn't available from my library, so you know, a little treat for myself. I also, in the sort of speculative fiction sci-fi genre, I got Exhalation by Ted Chiang. This is a short story collection that is those things that I just mentioned. The reason I got this is I was just talking about in one of my videos how Arrival was one of my favorite movies of the last like 10 years. And Arrival is actually based on a short story in this collection, so I would like to read it. I think Ted Chiang is also known to, like, his sci-fi is very philosophical, which is something that sounds good to me. So there you go. And then, last but not least, I got Calypso by David Sedaris. I don't think I've actually ever read with my eyes one of his books. I normally listen to it in audiobook form, but this is supposed to be like his magnus opus, like his best work, the most David Sedaris of all David Sedaris books. I think this is gonna be the best sort of nonfiction where he deals with a lot of heavy topics in this book I already know about. If you do have triggers you need to be aware of, look them up for this one. I've just heard this is a masterpiece. I hope my expectations aren't too high, but I've just been really excited to get to this one. I've been waiting for it to come out in paperback and then I sort of forgot about it. But now I have it, and it's a signed copy. There we have it. I think the tooth stamp is part of the signature and I'm into it. Oop. Cool. I'm interested to read it in book form rather than audiobook form because I do so often listen to David Sedaris. I think it's going to be a different experience and I'm really excited. With all that being said, I'm wrapping up my vlog here. It might be 2 parts, but we'll see if I can edit it down appropriately. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey. I feel like I've been like very up and down emotionally this week, but I'm feeling good. So like, thanks for coming along and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye!